Hello, welcome to Let Them Talk TV, and today a much requested video. It's all about how to get your English from intermediate to advanced. Now, a lot of you tell me that you are stuck at intermediate. Now, in life, you don't want to be stuck anywhere, not on a desert island like Robinson Crusoe, and certainly not at an intermediate level of English. Now, I want to be quite clear that what I won't be suggesting in this video is that you cover your house with post-it notes.
Banana. Shoes. This is a pen.
Also, what I won't be doing in this video is the obvious. Well, I will actually. I'll just tell you very briefly. Right now, you need to read, write, speak and listen. Do a lot of that stuff and you will definitely improve. But again, that's obvious and you should be doing that already, and we've already got lots of fantastic advanced grammar videos as well on this channel, such as this one. One thing to consider though, that you may be doing better than you thought. Like, for example, I know 10 words of Russian perhaps, and if I sat down in a room for an hour with Svetlana, I could learn 10 more, and so make a 100% improvement in the time it takes to heat up a samovar. Now, if you have a low level, you notice your improvement, but if you've already got a good intermediate level of English, if you already know, say, 2,000 words, if you learn 10 more words, you're hardly going to notice. But you are still improving, so keep on keeping on. So with that in mind, let's start with my tips and tricks to get you to advanced. Yes, indeed. Tip number 1. Learn and use words of Anglo-Saxon origin. Now, this sounds like a strange way to start, but trust me on this, and this is especially true if your language is a Latin language. Spanish, French, Italian, Romanian, Portuguese, etc. But it does apply to everyone, whatever your first language is. Now, our instinct is to take the easy path, to use a word that readily translates from our own language, and often it works. For example, here's a simple one: prefer. Now, if you have the word prefer, something similar, in your own language, the easy way is to use it in English. For example, I would prefer to live in Bangalore than Austin, Texas, which is perfectly correct. The grammar, I mean. I haven't been to either city, so I don't know which is better. However, a native speaker is more likely to say, I'd rather live in Bangalore than Austin. Now, rather comes from the Old English, rather. Bit dubious my pronunciation there, but something like that. And it means without delay. That was the original meaning. And quite often the Anglo-Saxon words, they sound better than the Latin equivalent because, after all, English is a Germanic language. And just to get you started, here are 6 examples of Anglo-Saxon words that you can sprinkle in your conversation. They are everyday words, albeit advanced ones, that you should know at this level. And any Google search will give you lists of English words of Anglo-Saxon origin. But be careful, the words rarely have exactly the same meaning as the Latin equivalent, and I'll leave it to you to do the research. I'm fed up of living in the city. I yearn for the great outdoors. Our business was beset by difficulties from the start. 20 people were arrested in the aftermath of the riot. The plight of refugees in this country is being ignored. I was dumbfounded by his stupidity. So tip number 1, learn 5 Anglo-Saxon words a day. Also, make a comment and use at least one in your comment. Let's move on to my second tip. Use subtitles, but not in the way you think. You're probably already using English subtitles when you're watching English language series or films, or perhaps you're not using any subtitles at all, and if you aren't, then Power to you. But here's a trick I've discovered which I find useful, and I think you will too. Next time you watch a film or a TV series in your own language, not in English, in your own language, switch on the English subtitles if you're able to do that. Have you ever had the experience of watching a film in English and you don't know what the hell they are saying? Or perhaps you get 50% or 30% or 10%. It's so frustrating that in the end you just read the subtitles and you don't pay any attention to the English anymore. Now, when you watch something in your own language, you understand 100%. You understand everything. And then when you see the English subtitles, you get these moments of realization, these eureka moments when you think, that's how you say that phrase in English. So, for example, if you're Japanese and you put on English subtitles on a Japanese series and then you see Yoroshiku onegaishimasu, you see the translation in English and you think, I always wondered how to say that in English, and then you think, that's how you say it.
弁護士の坂田です。よろしくお願いします。
Of course, you have to make sure that you keep on reading the subtitles because you don't need them, but that's the whole point. If you don't read the subtitles, then it's not going to work, is it? So make sure you focus on the subtitles. And try it out, and you'll see that it's extremely effective. The other unexpected consequence of doing this, by the way, is that you see how good or how bad the translator is. And I've seen so many translation train wrecks, which makes you realize that a lot is lost in translation. Just one example of many. I once saw an English film in Spain. I can't remember the name, but I do remember that there was a medical setting, and I was reading the Spanish subtitles because I was learning Spanish, and in English the line was, I know a man who had TB. TB is the acronym for tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is an infectious disease of the lungs. But somehow the line was mistranslated in Spanish as, Conozco a un hombre con una tele. I know a man with a television. Oh my God. TB, not TV, which of course made no sense in the context, and all these baffled Spaniards in the cinema were wondering why, while discussing health issues, the protagonist, out of the clear blue sky, announces that somebody he knows owns a television set. Now, if you have had any examples of bad translations, let us know in the comments, because I love these kind of stories. I didn't want to leave out grammar, so my next tip is for grammar bingo. That's right, grammar bingo. I love grammar bingo. And believe me, this can be hours of fun, alone or with a friend or with family, even if you're watching the dullest, most mundane drama, TV show, film, ones that you wouldn't normally watch if somebody paid you the equivalent national debt of Venezuela. But this game will elevate this terrible drama to the giddy heights of Citizen Kane. So don't throw away your old DVDs of Hottie and the Nottie with Paris Hilton, or Alvin and the Chipmunks, the Squeakquel, or Deathbed, the bed that eats. This is how you play. You select a few grammar points that you are learning, and you award each one points according to how difficult and how common they are. So, just for the sake of simplicity, I'll just give you 3. The future perfect, the past perfect continuous, and the subjunctive. Let's say the future perfect, if you find that one, in the drama, you get 1 point. A lot of students have difficulty with the past perfect continuous, but on the other hand, it's fairly common, so we'll give it 2 points. The subjunctive is used, but it's much less common and it's quite rare in English, so you give it 10 points. So you watch the movie, and every time you hear the grammar, you shout, "Grammar bingo!" And then you review the item and collect your points. At the end of the film, the team with the most points is the winner.
One day, I saw a child playing with a ruby the size of a tangerine. The bandit had been throwing them away.
Grammar bingo! Past perfect continuous. Yes. My next tip is read and watch things that are about 10% too difficult for you. What do I mean by this? If you're reading something in English which is too easy, you're going to give up because it's boring. Or if you like it, you're going to continue, but you won't learn anything. If it's too difficult, it's going to be so frustrating, you're going to give up. You don't understand what's going on and you give up pretty quickly. What you want to do is to hit that sweet spot where you understand most things, but there is always some vocabulary and some expressions that you don't know. But your English is good enough to understand it from the context, to fill in the gaps, if you like. Let me demonstrate. I looked at the table and I saw something interesting. I picked it up and I thought, is this a pen? I looked closer and said, yes, this is a pen.
Mr. and Mrs. Dursley of number 4 Privet Drive were proud to say that they were perfectly normal. Thank you very much. They were the last people you'd expect to be involved in anything strange or mysterious because they just didn't hold with such nonsense. Mr. Dursley was the director of a firm called Grunnings, which made drills. He was a big, beefy man with hardly any neck, although he did have a very large moustache. London Michaelmas term lately over, and the Lord Chancellor sitting in Lincoln's Inn Hall. Implacable November weather. As much mud in the streets as if the waters had but newly retired from the face of the earth. And it would not be wonderful to meet a Megalosaurus 40 feet long or so, waddling like an elephantine lizard up Holborn Hill. Smoke lowering down from chimney pots, making a soft, black drizzle, with flakes of soot in it as big as full-grown snowflakes gone into mourning, one might imagine, for the death of the sun.
The first quote was from my upcoming masterpiece, This is a Pen, available soon at all good bookstores. But you're probably thinking, it's too easy. I'd sooner eat a kilo of Marmite on burnt toast than read that crap. And you'd be right. It's for someone with a beginner's level of English, which is not you. Next we had the first page of Harry Potter. If you have a good intermediate level, you should understand it all, except perhaps for a few words. Maybe drill or beefy. Next was Bleak House by Charles Dickens. You'll need an advanced level to understand that. There's lots of complex vocabulary. So, which one should you be reading? So, by reading something which is just a little bit above your level, each time you pick up an English book, you'll move up the scale. And of course, I can't underestimate the importance of reading to improve your vocabulary. Just make sure that it's something that keeps your interest. My next tip is memorizing a passage. Learning by heart used to be very common, but it's kind of gone out of favour in the last few decades. But there are 3 good reasons to memorize passages from literature, poems. Firstly, Memorizing is scientifically proven to improve your memory and your cognitive functions. Secondly, you'll learn lots of new words and expressions, and you can use the passage like a library and take one of those words or expressions and use it in the right moment, in an email, in a business meeting, in a conversation. And thirdly, of course, you can impress your friends at a party by speaking your favourite passage by heart. Dishonour, not your mothers. Now attest that those whom you called fathers did beget you. Be copy now to men of grosser blood, and teach them how to war. Pringle, anybody? My final tip is read the dictionary. Get a good dictionary and go through it and find words that you don't know, and then go on to Google and find examples of usage. Don't read all the dictionary. Just concentrate on finding those interesting words that pique your curiosity and imagination. Sounds stupid, but I've done it, and I'm not stupid. Don't comment about that, please. Strange as it may seem, I don't have a paper dictionary anymore. I always check online. I threw out all my paper dictionaries during the great Maria Kondo clear out of 2018. I guess the dictionaries didn't spark joy, so I gave them away. So do as I say, not as I do. I'm sure you've got a dictionary somewhere. Anyway, for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to find 3 words from the first page of the Oxford Paperback Dictionary that I found online. And here they are. Aardvark. Aardvark is an animal found in South Africa. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, that's not important. I don't really care about that, the name of a stupid animal. That's where you're wrong. You're wrong. Firstly, it's the first noun in the English dictionary. Consequently, lots of businesses call their company Aardvark Limited. Why? Because you're first on the list. If you're looking for a plumber in your area, you'll find first on the list Aardvark Plumbers. And enough people are too damned lazy to look beyond the first entry, so that's what they choose. So just the name Aardvark gives your business a head start over your competitors. So yes, it's an important word in English. Ablaze, which means on fire. The building is ablaze. Abide by means to respect and follow the law. The law is the law, and we must abide by the law even if we don't agree with it. Otherwise, it's anarchy. Follow those tips and let us know in the comments how they go. And do add some tips of your own if you think I've left anything out. Stay mellow. See you next time.